a little disappointed, Pope. This football is super interesting right now. There's some good stuff going on.
Is there? Welcome to the Gentleman Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Kyle, and with me, as always, on the Hot Stuff Pizzeria hotline, my buddy, my pal, my compadre, my best friend, my Packer season ticket holder buddy, Robert Rushlow.
The hottest of stuff. I am Robert Rushlow, and I have some stuff. I have a lot to say.
Do you?
You know what, Pope? I'm going to need you to just let me go ahead and command the open. Okay?
All right. Well, I'm going to give you the floor.
I am the host of the podcast today, and normally Pope will go ahead and he'll drive this thing on forward, and he'll dictate where we got to go. But tonight, this podcast belongs to me,
and
he's going to be the comedy relief.
Oh.
I'm going to have points, talking points. I have so much to talk about.
So this is turning into a train wreck already. Here we go.
That's right. Mark your calendars. This is the greatest freaking gentleman fantasy podcast of all time.
October 4th, 2018. Here we go.
All right. I'm going to break it out with this open.
Okay.
Having two kids in Boy Scouts, and I know this is normally a parent circle jerk thing that we normally do.
It's family circle.
Look, it's tough because I have to sell popcorn, and it's not like the popcorn you get at your average Walmart.
It's not good popcorn. It's never good popcorn.
No, but it costs like $20-$30 a thing. And they justify it by putting them in these tins, all right? Like you get your Packer tin or your Christmassy themed tin, and you have to sell these. It's basically a pile of already popped popcorn for way more than you would get it anywhere else.
Of course.
And
because at Christmas time you can go to the store, you can go to Walmart and get a giant tin for $3.
Right. So you have to take your kids door to door and sell them to these random strangers and be like, hey, random stranger, I'm in the Scouts, and you should pay basically $28 more than you would normally pay to get this popcorn to support the Scouts. And it's a weird pile of rejection / awkwardness, and yeah.
Does it work for you though? Have you had any good sales?
I'm not going to lie. Business is good, but it's because I am a salesman by nature, right? I'm a recruiter for the National Guard. I'm selling people a life choice for a living.
Hey, let's not get into life choices. Nicole's on day 29 of her whole 30. She's almost done the whole 30.
Really?
Yes.
Have you done it?
By proxy, I guess. 2 out of 3.
You haven't.
2 out of 3 meals a day, I'd say.
Oh, okay, so you just make up for it on that third meal.
Well, I mean, she took away my jelly beans, which really upset me, but that's a story for another day.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, that's. I'll get back to that in parent circle jerk / whatever you call it. I have another thing I want to talk about before we get into our matchups and all that dumb shit.
Yes.
Numbers pools.
Numbers pools. So, okay. All right. I'm following you.
You go to a Packer game party, you go to a random party where they have numbers pools, right? You're like, hey, $5, I'm going to throw in my number's 9.
Correct.
And then you watch the game, and you suddenly stop rooting for the Packers so much as you start rooting for a number once the Packers reach a certain number that you're like, oh, well, we're winning this game, right?
You see, and I reserve those kind of pools for the Super Bowl or a playoff game that I don't give a shit about, or I don't do a normal Packers game, numbers pool because I mean, who gives a fuck?
Neither do I. But here's where it comes from. I went to Scott's house, my Uncle Scott. I went to his house for the Packer game, and all of my aunts and uncles showed up, minus Sandy, who obviously lives in Houston. They were all there. So it was a huge group. And, of course, Cindy being, very well-off, retired person with the ability to throw in on just about anything, wanted to get a numbers pool going.
Of course.
And, so I threw in, I put some money in for Percy because that was just fun. I had all my kids there. And, when the Packers started really taking over the game, I found myself being a little more interested in the score than, the Packers winning. And
that's gambling in general, though, right? I mean, that's the whole point of gambling is when you don't have a vested interest in who's winning or losing, you can still win or lose.
And this relates to fantasy, right? Because it's interesting. Where do you draw the line between your interest in your monetary investment versus your interest in your team?
Right.
How close could the Bills have got to winning that game where I would have been like, I'd rather have this score or, just have the Packers just waffle stomp the Bills,
Yeah, the Packers didn't play good, and the Bills are terrible.
Right. But that last-minute field goal in the first half lost me $30.
Oof.
But I still cheered when Mason Crosby hit that field goal, and everybody looked at me sideways, and they were like, you just lost the money pool.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but... And then I explained the reason why that was huge, because it put us up by more than a touchdown, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, yeah, but you lost the money pool. And I was like, see, you guys don't get it. You're older than me, and you have every reason to be fans. You've never played fantasy football, and still I'm explaining to you why this should be more important. It was really interesting to me.
I don't have a good rebuttal to that, actually. I'm kind of spacing right now. And the reason for that is, like, I just don't give a shit about a money pool. I mean, I will say it's very important to me during the Super Bowl to have one, just because you're watching two teams that you really shouldn't care about. The whole point of the Super Bowl is gambling when your team's not in it.
Right, and typically the Packers aren't in the Super Bowl, and not only that.
No, just the Patriots and whoever else is in the NFC.
Yeah, and your average Super Bowl pool is much bigger stakes than like a $5 random numbers pool.
Yes, and see, that's the other thing. If it's this is a thing that I have. I'm not saying that I'm a rich person by any means, but I'm an adult.
Well, I mean, you own more than one house. You're kind of a tycoon.
I wouldn't say that.
You're like a Michigan tycoon.
Look, that doesn't mean I'm not cash poor. So let's be real here.
You make move.
But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, and this pisses me out, this annoys me about even poker games and stuff, and even fantasy football buy-ins, that kind of stuff, when people are complaining about, no, man, I don't want to do a $10 buy-in for poker. $10 is a lot of money. Like, dude, we're all in our fucking 30s now. It's not... If you don't have expendable cash by the time you're in your 30s, then what the fuck are you doing with your life, I guess? I don't know.
Right.
If you're going to be playing poker, or if you're going to be playing fantasy football, or you're going to be gambling on a game, why are we throwing in $2 or $1 or $5 or whatever? Like, I understand if you're trying to get the kids and stuff involved. All right, have a cheapo one, but if we're watching the Daytona 500, why would I want to have there's 6 guys watching the race with me, and we're all going to have a pool. Why would I want to put in any less than $20? Because, we're going to pay out the top 2 people, and the second guy is going to get if it's a $10 thing, the second guy's going to get what, $20? Well, why the fuck should I care for $20? Like, it's got to be worth it.
Right. If you're going to pay to have a vested interest in the race or game or anything else, there should be a relatively decent reward.
There's got to be at least some sort of stake. You know,
right.
I don't see any point in, like, okay, I mean, I like playing sheephead, you know, which is for quarters and whatever. But like, if I'm gambling, if I'm playing poker and I'm playing on a $5 or $10 buy-in, like, me and everybody else who's playing should just literally not give a shit whether they go all in or go bust or anything. There needs to be some sort of monetary reward to have a reason to not just go on tilt for the hell of it just because you want to fuck up everybody else's game. You know what I'm saying?
Agreed.
You know, so that's my rant about poker and gambling.
Fair enough. All right, let's get into some football.
Yeah, way off track. We're like 10 minutes in now. Way off track.
No, we're good. I am hosting the show this week. We're going to stay on track. We're keeping this thing under an hour.
Okay, all sure. Right? All right, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll have to cut it to under an hour.
Nope. Let's get into the recap. Hit the drop for our weekly recap.
All right. Ready, set. There it was.
Boom.
Thanks for making me now make a drop for that.
No problem. Anything for you, buddy. Hey, there's some fun stuff to talk about in week 4.
Is there?
My declaration that Ryan Romlow will not win another game has held true.
It's only been 2 weeks.
Hey, when I make a declaration, that shit's happening. Ryan Romlow may have won. No, I take that back. He's playing me this week. He's going to win one more game. Anyway.
You do have a vendetta.
I said he lost, and he lost. That happened. What do we got? Hey, speaking of which, let's talk about our pick. What's the score going? I think you went 5-0, and I went 4-1. Is that correct?
Correct. I went 5-0. You went 4-1 for a total. I'm 13-7, and you are 14-6 right now. So after that first week, we are actually sitting pretty good here, and I feel like we have a pretty good feeling of what's going on in the league.
Yeah, I would think so. Breaking news.
All right.
This is where it's the breaking news drop.
God damn it.
We're good at this. We're good at making
news drops.
We have figured this out. We are good at picking winners and losers. I think over the last 3 weeks, I am a collective, 14-1 at this point?
Yes, that is true.
I think it's not too hard to tell who's going to win in those games. But getting back to my point.
In the league, yeah, at this point, I feel like I just kind of know who's going to win the games. On a secondary point, I want everybody to know that Robert's being an asshole right now and making me come up with drops for all this shit, so fuck you. I don't have anything for this, but I will tonight.
Also, for the 5 people listening, Pope is my best friend, and I would be a terrible best friend if I didn't make him just bust his ass for no reason whatsoever, but for our entertainment. You would all do the same thing. You appreciate what I'm doing. It's going to sound really cool. And who knows, maybe other people will listen to this just because of the sweet drop.
Hey, and it seems like there are actually people that listen to this. Ed mentioned to me last week that he does actually listen from time to time. Now, I do want to point out, Ed, if you're listening right now, which you won't be because I did not put something in the description, or I will not put something in the description that specifically references you or your players. And so you will not be listening right now because Ed saw that I put Des Bryant in the description. I guarantee you that's the reason why he listened. And then, he had to make a comment. He's like, well, I can't believe that you don't think I listen. Ed, I know you don't listen. So here's your opportunity. Let me know that you listen, because I'm fucking positive you're not listening right now.
Truth. I will. I won't even dispute that because I believe you're completely right.
100% right. I am 100% right. Okay, now let's get to some stuff here. I am here to tell you right now, this team is not the best team in the NFL right now. They're not even one of the top 20 teams in the NFL right now, but they are the most entertaining team in the NFL right now, and that is the Cleveland Browns. It's riveting. Every week I find myself watching a Browns game for no other reason than trying to figure out what the hell is going on, how are they going to fuck it up this week, and how are they going to make a game entertaining, and can they tie every game this season?
I completely agree. And in fact, if there was even like a mid-tier coach coaching the Browns, they could literally be undefeated.
They could be 4-0, which is the craziest thing in the world.
Like, if you really watched those games and you were like, man, if they had a coach that was even in the top 49% of all coaches in the league, they probably wouldn't have lost a game yet, which is really fucking crazy.
Right. Considering they started Tyrod Taylor, who was terrible for the first 3 weeks. And they had a kicker who missed 3 field goals or point afters or whatever. They tied a game. They almost tied another game if there wasn't just a stupid play call. The Browns are the most entertaining team all season. Their defense is phenomenal. They keep them in every game. Their offense is kind of weird, and lots of mistakes happen. But Nick Chubb can be electric. They got 3 pretty good running backs, actually. And they even got rid of Josh Gordon and still have decent receivers. So, speaking
of Nick Chubb, there was a healthy waiver dollar amount placed down on him.
We'll get into that. That.
Hey, by the way, raise your hand if you took shit for drafting the Browns defense after drafting a defense that was already picked. Spoiler alert, my hand is raised.
Yeah, but you dropped them before the season started, did you not?
I sure did for the fucking, 3rd overall Jets defense, which is looking very good right now. Also, if you look at their playoff matchups, I'm in good shape. On top of that, I picked up the Redskins D, also because of their playoff matchups.
Oh.
Yeah, I have some space on my bench because my starters are so damn nice. Can I just go ahead and take over for a minute and tell everybody I am actively shopping my running backs. I have a fucking pile of really good running backs.
Okay.
Also, potentially under the radar, future really good running backs. You know, Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson. These guys are looking like they're going to do really great things. I'm trying to get a better running back. I'm trying to get myself a top 5 running back in exchange for depth for these guys, these that are up in the top 15, 20 running backs.
Let me tell you a story here, my buddy.
Yes.
You are never going to make that deal because nobody is willing to get rid of a top 5 running back because the running backs are so volatile. And I know this because I've literally offered up everything under the sun that you can imagine for a running back, and everybody's like, nope, don't want to do it. Everything. I'm my top 3 wide receivers, who are the best 3 wide receivers in the league. I actually have 4 of the best 3 wide receivers in the league. That's how good my wide receivers are. I have offered up every single one of my wide receivers, including Tyreek Hill, including DeAndre Hopkins, including Juju Smith-Schuster, and Kelvin Ridley. I've offered up all those guys for different combinations of running backs, whatever, and everybody's told me no.
I have 3 things to say about that.
All right.
1, how dare you put the number 1 overall receiver on your bench this week? You have officially lost your goddamn mind.
No, very simply. It's who he's playing, and I have such depth at wide receiver, I can't afford to not get a stud game.
No. I hate your face. You don't bench Tyreek Hill. You're out of your fucking mind. 2, I will give you any running back you want for Tyreek Hill if he's just going to sit on your bench.
Well, I don't want any of your running backs.
That's fair.
I talked to Zach. I talked to Wes. Well, let's talk. I tried to talk to Wes, but he never replies to me. I also tried to talk to Justin. He also doesn't reply to me.
Yeah, it's funny because we're on the same wavelength. I have actively been shopping to the same people with no luck.
I tried to talk to Ryan for Le'Veon Bell, but it turns out Ryan is strong at wide receiver and weak at running back, so it doesn't help me at all.
What did you offer Ryan for Le'Veon Bell? This is fun because I'm making multiple passes at him.
I don't remember.
See, here's the thing. I don't talk to Ryan.
Sure.
I just send him trade proposals with no explanation whatsoever.
Uh-huh.
So if you're talking to him,
so you don't send him text messages?
No.
Oh,
I literally
see now I'm texting all these people, not sending over trade offers, and people are just fucking flat out ignoring me.
No, Ryan and I have an active trade offer right now that he hasn't rejected, but he also hasn't accepted, and it's been sitting there for a little bit. I offered him David Johnson for Le'Veon Bell straight up.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's more than I offered him.
No, exactly. That is a healthy offer, right?
You see, I was gonna offer him Juju Smith-Schuster for Bell, but that makes absolutely no sense for his team because then he ends up having 4 good wide receivers just like I have. So why would he make that trade?
Right. So I think that might be the reason he hasn't necessarily accepted or rejected it yet, because David Johnson's not a shitty fucking that is a number 1 running back.
Last year.
How he's doing. No, look it up. He's still the 15th best running back in football right now.
Yeah, but the 15th best running back's a far cry from a top 10 running back.
Yeah, but Le'Veon Bell isn't a top 10 running back until he actually starts playing games.
Which is going to be week 7, so
sure.
Now that we know that.
Okay, so what's Ryan's win-loss record right now? Does he need a running back right now? Or does he need what Le'Veon Bell might be in week 8?
He's only one game behind you.
Right. And then it's going to be 2 games behind me after this week. Motherfucker. Anyways. I'm just saying. It's not a bad offer. I'm offering him David Johnson. I'm not offering him goddamn Kerryon Johnson. This is a real running back.
I mean, if you want to trade Kerryon Johnson, I'll definitely discuss it with you.
He's actually let's make no mistake. I invested heavily, and I will stake my life.
Almost like
I love Kerryon Johnson and Aaron Jones. I went way out of my way to draft Kerryon Johnson and Aaron Jones because I think that they are 2 of the most talented / underutilized running backs in the entire NFL.
Somebody told you that. I mean, the Aaron Jones thing is legit. You had no fucking idea about Kerryon Johnson going into this season, so outside of what fucking Matthew Berry or somebody told you.
What the fuck are you talking about? I've loved me some Kerryon Johnson.
Where did he go to college?
Oh my God!
Yeah, you have no fucking idea where he went to college.
I don't watch college football.
See, then how do you know anything about him? There's no way you could have known anything about him prior to the season.
No, but I've done my research. I am a fan.
Yes, by listening to Matthew Berry or somebody talk about him. It's the only research you did.
I have done.
You're a sheep.
Yes. No, yeah, absolutely. I listened to analysts. I did my research on him, which is why I drafted him, which is why nobody else drafted him.
No, you drafted him because you drafted him earlier than everybody else is going to draft him. Just like Depry and his boy Ronald Jones, who, by the way, finally got on the field last week, 4 weeks after he was dropped. But, that was like a 4th-round draft pick, I believe.
I never would have drafted Ronald Jones. See, there's a difference between doing research and doing the right research.
No, but Ronald Jones was a guy who was hot like the last week of the preseason. And everyone was like, oh, he might be a starter. Well, he didn't freaking play it down for 3 weeks, and he was inactive.
Here's what I'm going to do. Every time I say Carry On Johnson, you need to play the drop, Carry On My Wayward Son.
Carry on my wayward son.
No.
Yep.
No,
There's another drop you got to do.
You do realize that would mean I'd have to go back and listen to this whole podcast?
So every time I say Carry On, you got to cut the pod and be like,
Carry on my wayward son.
From this moment on out, that I'll do that.
That's got to happen. Carry On Johnson.
Carry on my wayward son.
Yeah.
That is my guy. I am.
Hey, by the way, part of my family circle.
To pry me apart from Carry On Johnson.
Carry on my wayward son.
Part of my family circle this week is talking about how Nicole hates that on Thursday nights I do this because I put the kids to bed and then I vanish for like 3 hours. And it's about to be like 5 hours.
The kids are in bed. She has something to bitch about.
No, but I'm not spending time with her.
Yeah, no.
I invited her. I said, hey, I'll set up another microphone for you today, and you can sit in on the podcast, and we can team podcast this. And she was just like, yeah, I'll pass. Don't want to do that. Your gay ass podcast.
We're getting deep into this podcast. We're nearly a half hour in.
Yeah, I know. And you said this is going to be a short one. I didn't even get to any of the good stuff yet.
Listen, that was all good stuff. We're getting into the good stuff again right now, okay?
All right, okay.
I'm going to make 2 more points. We're going to get into the matchups. And
you're ignoring all my points.
No, your points are fantastic. All right?
No. I'm saying that the points that I'm yet to make. I got some good ones coming up here that are like, there's some serious talk going on.
Okay, well, set a timer. I have 1 minute, and I'm going to say 2 things.
Oh, great.
One, tight end is becoming drastically thin.
Tight end's a fucking crapshoot.
And the reason is not Jordan Reed. Jordan Reed is still a healthy tight end in the NFL.
4 full weeks. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
He's like a unicorn.
Point 2. Edelman and Ingram are back this week.
Fucking thank God. I have been waiting 4 long weeks for Ingram to come back.
See what happens. So far, Edelman has been used. He's getting catches. He's doing things. I'm literally watching him catch a pass as we speak. He just caught one for 5 yards. So, good job, Los, having the deepest goddamn team I've ever seen. Hashtag, I think Los is going to win the championship, and it's only week 5.
I've seen Los fuck things up like this before, though. So
true. That's it. I'm done. Hit your points. What do we got?
Huh? I was just going to say, I wanted to talk about last week's matchup between Ed and Los.
Oh, yes. Let's touch this.
I mean, that was one hell of a matchup.
Agreed.
Everything that you'd want to see from that matchup happened, and Ed prevailed. And I think those are the best 2 teams in the league, and I don't think it's really close, personally.
No, I completely agree.
Despite Ed trying to fuck his team up as much as he can at every possible.
Right. Exactly. 111 to 107, they were still like the 3rd and 5th highest scoring teams of the week.
Yes. Against
each other. Like they put up all the numbers you expected. It was close. You picked it. And if Ertz didn't go off, which in the first half, if you watched that Chiefs game, I didn't mean Ertz. I meant
Kelsey.
Sorry. If Kelsey doesn't really make up for that first half, Los easily would have won that game because in the first half of that game, Kelsey was dropping passes. Mahomes was throwing him behind him. He was super frustrated. It was actually really interesting to watch. It was like, hey, Mahomes and Kelsey don't have a connection right now. Is this going to be an issue? And then in the second half, they actually went berserk, and all things went well, and Ed ended up winning. But my pick easily could have been right, and I could have been the 5-0 guy, and you could have been the 4-1. But it's funny that was the only pick that swayed us from being undefeated. Otherwise, we are really good at this, guy.
Yeah, really good. Really good. All right. Now, my next point that I want to make here is last week, what board bet did we make?
White versus Sony Michel.
Yeah. And what did I say about what did Tom Brady say? He was going to use guys that make plays happen. And one of those guys he specifically mentioned was James White. And James White last week had a game. He had 2 rushing attempts for that's this week. He had 8 rushing attempts for 44 yards and a touchdown.
What did Sony Michel have?
More, but he also had 9 receptions for 71 yards and a touchdown. Oh, that's this week. God damn it. 8 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. 23.2 fantasy points. And yes, Sony Michel showed up, actually did something, 25 for 112, 17 fantasy points. James White is ahead by 5 points right now, and he is currently ahead in this game where he is outpacing. James White has 9 touches in this game that we're watching right now. Michel has 13. But James White is explosive. He's doing all the things that Kevin Falk used to do.
They're using White almost exclusively in this game. Now, I could credit that to the fact that the Patriots are winning by a fucking ton. And they're just like, well, let's just leave White in here and let Michel.
Yeah, but they should be playing Michel if they're up by a ton.
Maybe. I don't know what Belichick's logic is. Like, usually, if you're a fucking coach that likes to play mind games with people, maybe you just want to keep Michel off the field so people don't have film on him. Or you could be like, maybe I'm just going to stomp on the Colts' throat because fuck them for Deflategate. Either way,
still going on with that.
There's 2 points to understand here. One, the Colts and any court apparently in the country doesn't understand the ideal gas law. 2, the Patriots want to womp the shit out of the Colts, and they're not going to take their foot off the gas, so they're probably just going to keep James White in so they can keep scoring touchdowns. That's where I'm personally.
But keeping James White in so they can keep scoring touchdowns actually leads to my point of James White is more productive.
Sure, in the passing game.
But that's not. It doesn't matter. We're talking fantasy points here. I don't care how many rushing yards Sony Michel gets.
They've been passing nonstop. They're almost using the Colts as a fucking punching bag to see what Brady can do. Like, they just threw a pass to Chris Hogan that he caught and then missed and threw up in the air that the Colts intercepted, and I still don't feel like the Patriots really care.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just, I feel like they're just letting Brady go berserk here, and they're just like, let's just pass a bunch and just see what we can do because we know we're winning this game. Like, that's what it feels like to me, and the scoreboard reflects the same. And you're not changing my mind. Sony Michel is going to get some serious work moving forward. I'm standing by that shit.
I'm not saying he's not going to get serious work, but I'm telling you, James White is going to be a factor all season long. And right now, on our bet, he's 5 points ahead, and he's about to be 10 points ahead.
Hashtag we'll see. Let's get into matchups.
No. You're missing the best point I'm going to make all night. See, you spent all this time talking all your bullshit, and I had the best point of the night. Okay?
You benched the number 1 wide receiver in football?
No. Let's talk about my Browns of the League of Ordinary Gentlemen. My friend Travis Van Lanen, the most entertaining member of this league this year. Let's just let's go over something here quick. He's had
What is that for a waiver budget? $3?
He's got
What is he up to?
he's got $7 left. He's had 17
close.
acquisitions. This is week 5, people. 17 acquisitions. He has a total of $7 left. Now let's just go over a few of these transactions he's had this year. Before the season started, he added Nick Foles, dropped Jerick McKinnon. Then he dropped Nyheim Hines for Mike Wallace. Then he dropped Jeremy Hill for Vance McDonald. Then he dropped Mike Wallace, who he just picked up, and this is before the season's even started, for the Lions defense. Then he dropped Vance McDonald, also before the season started, for the Bears defense. So at this point, there was a point here where he had 3 tight ends on his team and 3 defenses. Then there was a point where he had
number 1 overall Bears defense.
Yeah, okay, fine. But then he had a point in time where he had 3 quarterbacks and 3 defenses, and then I think he had 3 quarterbacks and 3 tight ends. He dropped Delaney Walker, picked up Eric Ebron for $13. He spent $18 on Philip Lindsay. He spent $13 on the Lions defense. No, on Jesse James. Sorry. Spent $13 on Jesse James. He spent a lot of money on tight ends, by the way.
It's a rough position.
He added and dropped Ryan Tannehill. He spent $3 on Mason Crosby. $15 on Chris Ivory. That one I don't understand at all. $18 on Tyler Boyd, which seems like a good pickup. He added Corey Grant today, the Jacksonville running back, and he spent $7 on Nick Chubb to bring him down to a total of $7 left for the rest of the season. And he hasn't had a bye yet on his team. And he also, now he has a team full of running backs and wide receivers. Okay. Because until last week, he had 1 running back / wide receiver on his bench. He had no bench to sub any of his starters in for.
Okay. Here's my thing.
Okay.
Bears defense, number 1 overall, currently on bye. I'll give him that one. Tyler Boyd, absolutely decent pickup. I'll give him that one. Philip Lindsay looks like
great pickup.
Who the hell saw Philip Lindsay coming?
I did. I wanted him from day one, and he spent a lot of money on him.
Yeah. Being a Royce Freeman early drafter, that's frustrating to me. But whatever.
Philip Lindsay's legit, and that guy has a great profile picture.
Yep. Despite his multiple quarterback situation, he is down to just 1. It looks like he's rolling with Cam moving forward, 100%, which I could not agree with more. Cam Newton is going to be good this year. He's not going to be MVP Cam, but he's also not going to be like, I got in a car accident and I'm going to suck Cam.
Yes, he's solidly the 15th quarterback in the league right now.
Right, and that's after a bye. So I feel like he's going to be like 5th best quarterback in football come into the year, Cam, which fantastic.
Whoa. 5th best quarterback?
Yeah.
You say he's going to be top 5.
Let me
What's your over-under?
Okay, let me list off the quarterbacks I think that are going to be better than Cam Newton.
Boy, we could be here all day.
Patrick Mahomes.
1.
Phillip Rivers.
2.
Jared Goff.
3. Oh, you got him at number 4, huh? What about Drew Brees?
Yeah. No. I'm not sure after Ingram comes back. That's
Is Rodgers
the problem.
making a comeback?
I feel like Ingram makes a big difference because I don't know what the influx is going to be with Ingram and Kamara.
Okay, well, what's your over-under on Cam Newton?
Fitzpatrick is already gone.
Yeah, what happened there? I mean, we don't have a ton of time to spend on this, but what the fuck?
Here's the only person I feel like is like the wild card is Matt Ryan.
Really, Matt Ryan. He's your wild
Yeah.
card. So
Yeah.
what's your over-under on Newton?
I feel like Cam Newton is going to be at the least a top 6 quarterback.
All right, I will take the under, put it on the board.
Put it on the board.
All right, you got Cam Newton as a top 6 quarterback. I say he's going to be 7th or worse at the end of the year.
Right.
Not from this point on, but just total, right?
Nope. Yep. You're counting week 1 to week 16,
Yeah,
right?
because, I mean, he's what? He's 15 now, but he's actually averaging, excuse me, I have the hiccups. He's actually averaging 26 points. So, I mean, that's right in the top 5 to 7 territory, I want to say.
Right.
But either way, regardless.
All right. I'm taking the top 6. I'll post it tomorrow.
All right. I got him for 7.
Sweet. Let's get into our picks.
All right, let's do these matchups and get them over with. First up, we have the Donkey Punchers in the Addams family. Robert, Travis, and Andrew. Both teams 2-2. Both teams in the Fonzie division tied for first. Who do you have this week?
I got Travis. Surprisingly, right?
No shit.
I don't love.
Because
I don't love
I picked
Andrew's
Travis,
running.
and I thought I was going the opposite way of you.
Yeah, I don't love Andrew's running back situation. He's got Jay Ajayi versus Minnesota, and Marshawn Lynch against the Chargers. That is questionable, by the way. Marshawn Lynch against the Chargers.
Mm-hmm.
Don't love that. He's got Gronk and Naheem Hines in, which, spoiler alert, have 7 points and 4.4. And then Tom Brady with a healthy 26, which is fantastic. Travis, I like the matchups. I like Cam Newton against the Giants. I like Zeke Elliott against the Texans. Phil Lindsay has proven to be a fantastic pickup. And I made the picks before the game started playing, obviously, but he's got Eric Ebron at tight end. Ebron's already got 10 points, 10.6, in fact. And if you haven't noticed, tight end is thin as fuck, and he's got a double-digit tight end already going. So, good job. I picked Travis to win.
Yeah, and I did too. And I don't have a reason why I think there was a gut feeling that just said Travis is winning this week. I don't think his team's any better than Andrew's. I do think that Rob Gronkowski is not good anymore. And Andrew's running back situation is kind of questionable. He's got Tom Brady, but Cam Newton's playing the Giants. So I think that matters. I'm taking Travis.
Isn't it the Cam Newton you currently bet against?
Yeah, but he's playing the frickin' Giants. Giants are terrible.
Right.
All right, second matchup of the week. We got Smith Schuster's Arcade versus Second String. It's me versus Luke. Luke's 3-1. I'm 2-2. Luke is on a 3-game winning streak. What do you say, Robert?
I say that you're going to lose, Pope. And this is why. You're benching
You
Tyreek
pick me to lose like every week. You do realize that, right?
Hey, if you haven't noticed, I went undefeated 2 weeks in a row and only lost one matchup that wasn't yours this last week. So I kind of get what I'm talking about here. Here's why. He's got the 2 best wide receivers that I'm aware of in football.
No, you're wrong. You are absolutely wrong. Are you talking about in general wide receivers, or are you talking about fantasy wide receivers?
I'm talking about just wide receivers. Odell Beckham and Julio Jones are 2 of the most on-the-field talented guys I may have ever seen.
I mean, I could talk about Antonio Brown and Tyreek Hill and DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, you could. You could talk about Tyreek Hill, but you know what? Apparently, you don't think that Tyreek Hill is more talented than Juju Smith-Schuster, DeAndre Hopkins,
I never
Ridley.
said that. These just matched
You
up.
You don't think that Tyreek Hill will score more points than the 3rd-string receiver on the Falcons? Enough said.
Okay.
Anyway.
No. Let's. Kelvin
We're getting
Ridley.
into my
Kelvin Ridley is
expert-
playing the Pittsburgh defense. The Pittsburgh
Hey,
defense
I will
is a
offer you
train
chance
wreck.
to rebuttal when it's
Hey,
your turn.
The
So,
Pittsburgh. Do you want to go Kelvin Ridley versus Tyreek Hill this week?
objection overruled. I will finish my.
Okay, fine. Finish.
Okay. I thought, now these are my notes before the game started, that Sony Michel would be a huge catalyst for Luke to get an advantage on you because Luke was weak at running back, right? Obviously, he drafted
Yes.
really great wide receivers. He took Ertz. He took Pat Mahomes, who apparently, despite my bet against him, has been fan-fucking-tastic.
He has been.
He's got the Jags defense, which, hey, newsflash, if your quarterback is Pat Mahomes and your defense is the Jaguars and they're facing each other, you're probably going to run into some version of a roadblock, right?
Oh, right. Yeah. And who does Pat Mahomes throw the ball to?
The guy you have on your bench.
Correct. Okay. Pat Mahomes is throwing to Tyreek Hill. Jacksonville has this year and last year had the best defensive backs in the league. They shut down top wide receivers between
True or
Jalen
false?
Ramsey.
Hold on.
Okay.
I got a question for you. True or false? Tyreek Hill is faster than Jalen Ramsey.
I'm assuming that's true.
You would be correct. He is 0.4 faster on the combine than Jalen Ramsey, which means, hypothetically speaking, Hill's got nothing to worry about. As
Yeah,
far as
Tyreek Hill's
getting
not
the
getting
ball.
jammed at the line, though, either during his 40.
No, he's going to line up in the slot and run free. It's like Jalen Ramsey doesn't scare me against Tyreek Hill. They're on opposite sides of the field by design. Andy Reid's not stupid. He knows how to create space for his best wideout.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Okay, now can
this isn't a question of Tyreek Hill against Jalen Ramsey. They're not going to be lined up against each other on half the damn plays.
Yeah, but still, they have. Jacksonville has the best defensive backs in the league. They have one of the best defenses in the league. They get a tremendous amount of pressure on the quarterback. Mahomes isn't going to have all day to pass the ball, and he's not going to have open wide receivers to throw to. That's why I have Hill on the bench. Now I have Ridley in his place because they're playing the Steelers. And who lit up the Steelers a couple weeks ago? Oh,
Everybody.
The Chiefs, yeah. The Chiefs did. And Ryan Fitzpatrick and the Buccaneers. Everybody lights up Pittsburgh. Okay? Baltimore lit up Pittsburgh. Cleveland lit up Pittsburgh. And Atlanta's playing Pittsburgh this week. That is the only reason why I don't have Hill in the lineup. It's purely
All right.
matchup. I have that luxury, though, because I have like 5 phenomenal wide receivers. No running backs, but 5 phenomenal wide receivers.
Okay. So what's your excuse for DeAndre Hopkins then?
My excuse for him?
Yes. Why is he starting over Hill?
Because they're playing Dallas.
Hopkins has not only injuries, he has a thumb/ankle/hamstring injury.
Okay.
Like, it's not even just one injury.
Let me tell you something about DeAndre Hopkins. DeAndre Hopkins is as good as his quarterback, and Deshaun Watson somehow last week regained the mojo that he was lacking. Hopkins is going to have a big week this week.
Okay. I will make this bet with you.
Okay.
Hopkins versus Hill. Hill has more fantasy points in our league.
But you won't bet Ridley?
Look, I have options. You're benching Hill. I should be able
I
to
understand that. I'm
receiver on your starting lineup, and you should
all right,
be
fine.
confident.
Fine.
in the
Just
fact that
to end
you're
this
wrong,
argument, to end this argument, I'm just gonna put it on the board. I'll take Hopkins. I'll take Ridley. I don't care who you pick. I'll take one of those guys versus Hill. Just this week. Every other week, Hill's my number one guy, but this week, not Hill.
All right, Hopkins versus Hill, Sal's Pizza, bacon cheeseburger.
Ooh. I don't even care if I win or lose this one.
Hey, I'm on a keto diet, and I'm still willing to take that bet, so. All right, let's move
kids
forward.
and their diets. Yeah, we're on the second matchup. I think hold on. We are at 50 minutes, so you got 10 minutes to get under the clock.
We're going over. It's fine.
All right, we got Lanky's Heroes versus Jordan Johnson. That's Ryan versus you. You are 3-1. Ryan is 2-2. Both in the Richie division. And well, what do you think about your matchup?
Hey, I stated that Ryan wouldn't win another game, but fortunately for me, this pick doesn't affect my record because I'm not allowed to pick my own game. And here's my fucking frustrating opinion. Like, Ryan always seems to catch a break against me, and here's the break he's going to get. Mm-hmm. He started freaking Ryan Fitzpatrick last week and got his ass handed to him, right? This week, he's starting Ben Roethlisberger at home against Atlanta. Like, could you think of a better situation for a quarterback than Ben at home against probably one of the bottom 4 pass defenses in the entire league? Like, he always seems to catch this gigantic break when he's playing against me.
Yeah, and he's starting Pittsburgh's
score 60 points.
Yep, he's starting Pittsburgh's second-string tight end as well, Vance McDonald, who will probably have 2 touchdowns in that game.
Absolutely, there's going to be points for days.
And of course, like the number 3 wide receiver for Detroit always has 3 touchdowns against the Packers. Oh, and Ryan's starting Kenny Golladay. So
exactly. It's the perfect storm, and of course it's against me. Because just like freaking week 3, or whatever it was, when we hit off the first time, Ben's going to go nuts, and everybody else is too, and I'm going to sit there and be like, I have a better team than him, but he just can't quit whooping my ass.
Yeah.
121-94, he won last week. Or not last week, but week 2.
Last time you guys played.
Because Ben put up 43.9 points against me. A.J. Green caught 3 touchdowns against Baltimore, and everything else in the world you could think of went right for it.
Of course. Now, with that being said, I'm picking you this week. And I'm just going to tell you this. You know, you and I are best friends. I feel some kinship towards you. Unlike you, I don't pick against you every week. I believe I've actually picked you every week, and I'm 3-1 through 4 weeks in just picking you to win every week. Yeah, of course.
Here's the thing, Pope. I'm just being real. I don't look at who the team is. Like, I don't differentiate between your team, Carl's team, Ryan's team. I literally look at the players in front of me, their matchups, and who I think is going to win. I am ruthless. Do I want you to win? Absolutely. Pope, if I can't win the championship every year, I hope you do. Legit. By the way, Eric Ebron just got hurt pretty bad.
Right.
That's a real thing. I'm cheering for you if I can't win. Like, you're my best friend. Why wouldn't I? If I'm not cheering for you and neither of us can win, I'm cheering for Los.
I just cheer for Los.
Best friend. I mean, I can give you guys my top 12. I can list off how much all of you mean to me and who I cheer for. But you know what? It really doesn't matter. And most of you probably know where you are on my list anyways, based on how much we hang. But yeah, I'm non-partial, man. I just pick who I think's going to win the game.
Well, there you have it.
Side note, I'm fucking beating Ryan. Fuck that guy. Fuck his sweet matchups and all that dumb shit. You're going down, Ryan. I will not lose to you. Los is winning the championship. If I don't, that's it.
Oh, moving on. So we're going way over. Cooper Troopers versus I Didn't Make the Draft. It's a buddy matchup. It's Steve versus Justin. Justin's 1-3. Steve is 2-2. They are both in the Ralph division, and they are both not leading the division. Now, what do you say about this one?
I think Steve should start Quincy Enunwa over Amari Cooper, but
I don't think Amari Cooper's good, and I've thought that from day one.
That either. That being said, as soon as you bench him, he has a humongous game, so you almost have to start him just because, like, oh, I'm going to bench him. Like, what you do with Amari Cooper is you put him on your bench, and then, like, 5 minutes before the game starts, you throw him in your starting lineup because you trick him, right? Because Amari Cooper's like, oh, he's benching me, I'm going to go crazy. But he didn't know that just beforehand you put him in your starting lineup, and then he's like, he goes off and you started him, and he's like, ah, shit, you started me at the last minute, you bastard. And then you get all those points.
Of course.
But that being not the case in any version of reality, I think Quincy Enunwa should be an every week starter for Steve. I don't think it's even close. It's been obvious that he is the guy for the Jets, and Amari Cooper is not always the guy. Sometimes it's Jordy Nelson, sometimes it's Jared Cook. You know, it's just too. And they're playing the Chargers. Who the hell knows what's going to happen there? I would put Enunwa in. That being said, I'm picking Steve. Steve's going to win regardless because not making the draft apparently matters. I don't love anything going on the other side. I mean, Derek Carr could do decent. Saquon Barkley against the Panthers, I don't love that. I don't love a situation where both of your starting running backs play each other. Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey are in the same game, which means whoever dominates the time of possession is going to have points, but the other guy's probably not, you know? And so in all that being considered, I'm taking Steve.
Yeah, and I'm taking Steve as well. Oh, fuck. Never mind that.
Did you shit your pants?
No, did you hear that?
No.
I hit the wrong button and it started a program and it made a noise.
Oh, neat.
So nobody might not have heard that. I'm going to have to cut that out anyways.
I'll let it roll. It'll be fun.
Minutes.
People like hearing mistakes.
Do they?
Maybe.
Well, I'm picking Steve as well, and I look at Justin's team, and his team's bad, and it shouldn't be this bad. Barkley and McCaffrey are good. Breida's been good for him as well. He's got Jimmy Graham, who I think he's overrated, and I have for a while.
How dare you?
And in theory, he's got good wide receivers. Derek Carr is just a middle-of-the-pack quarterback, so that doesn't help him at all. Steve's team with James White adding to his running back situation. And I've been trying to trade with Steve, and he just keeps ignoring me. He's got more running backs than he needs. And he's got Michael Thomas, who's a great wide receiver, and then he's got a bunch of guys who you couldn't give a fuck about, including Amari Cooper.
Yeah,
he needs a guy.
With the unfortunate thing with Justin is he made some decent picks that didn't necessarily pan out, right? Like Kenyon Drake, Demarius Thomas, Kenny Stills, Mike Williams.
Mm-hmm.
These are all guys
Mike Williams is going to pan out for him. I believe that.
Here and there, but, you know, the production hasn't been there for picks that, like, where he took Demarius Thomas, I was like, wow, you got him at a value because a lot of people were avoiding him. Well, come to find out, they were avoiding him for good reason. But that could have easily been, you know, a great pick. And welcome to fantasy football. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Well, we got two matchups left. We're going to be running overtime. And thankfully for us, these last two matchups probably don't even matter. So we could probably skim by them real quick. Here's the first one. Two strained hams and a broke McRib versus dropping Browns. It's Ed versus Kyle. Ed's 4-0. Kyle's 0-4. Kral drafted 3 stud running backs that are no longer stud running backs. He's got a coin flip at quarterback every week, which is always a bad thing to have. And he has very questionable wide receivers. Jared Cook has been a bright spot for him, but he's going up against Ed, who's got a team that has just looked good all season, aside from the fact that he's starting Josh Gordon, who's done nothing for him in this game. I got Ed in a landslide.
Yeah, I completely agree. And here's the thing with Ed, like, he's winning until proven losing, right? Like, you take the guy who just keeps winning games until he stops winning games. He's good till proven that. And with Kyle, you know, it sucks, right? Like, he took two of the most potentially, like, blow-up running backs ever, right? Jared Cook, or Dalvin Cook, sorry, is amazing when healthy. She's an explosive, amazing running back. And then you got, you know, Leonard Fournette, who is the biggest powerhouse I may have ever seen since, I don't know, Bettis at running back. Like, he just literally forces his will on people. And who has a choice but to get plowed over? But they're both hurt.
Right.
And that happens. You know, his best running back right now is unfortunately LaShawn McCoy, which nobody wants to be in that situation. I'm actually currently trying to work out a trade with him that I'm going to try to offer to maybe get my hands on Dalvin Cook, but I don't really feel good about that.
Well, if you know this story already, but him and I had a conversation about any of his running backs. He wanted Aaron Rodgers. He was going to give me one of his quarterbacks back, which is either Dalton or Luck. I gave it some serious consideration Sunday morning. If Cook wouldn't have played on Thursday night, I think I would have traded for Cook and probably Dalton, because I just don't have a good feeling about Rodgers this year.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I just looked at it and said, I don't trust any of the running backs Carl has. And it's Aaron Rodgers we're talking about. If it was any other quarterback, I think I would have made that trade in a heartbeat just to have another lottery ticket. But
except it's the greatest quarterback in NFL fucking history.
Who's not having a good year.
He's the GOAT.
Still not having a good year.
But yeah, no, I would have, if it were me, I would have taken it in a heartbeat. I would have taken Andy Dalton and Dalvin Cook. I don't love Andrew Luck this year. He's fantastic, and he's Andrew Luck, but he's working with a bunch of, you know, wide receivers that aren't, you know, great. And Andy Dalton might just be having one of those years where he's not going to totally bone you. He's currently the 8th best quarterback in the league, and, you know, he doesn't seem to be making all those typical Andy Dalton mistakes.
Yeah,
Plus,
he might even finish ahead of Cam Newton.
Right. Plus, he plays the Chargers, the Raiders, and the Browns in the playoffs, which is something that I'm pretty good with. That's a decent set of matchups when it matters.
I would agree with you. Moving on, we got. Oh yeah, you picked Ed there too, right?
Hey, Josh Gordon just caught a 34-yard touchdown.
Look at that. There you go. There, Ed gets his points. Moving on, Marquise Lee, 2018 MVP versus Kamara Chameleon. We got Zach versus Jason. We got an 0-4 record versus a 3-1 record. They're both in the Potsy division with me. I think this one is easy as well. No slight against Jason, but Zach's just got the best team in the league probably right now. Zach's going to go to 4-1 in my opinion. Jason's going to go to 0-4. And to do a little Bill and Sal guess the lines tradition, this is the moment where I'm going to cross Jason off.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I guarantee Jason doesn't make the playoffs, and, you know, whatever that happens, I've been in those years too, but Zach is going to completely steamroll this year.
I mean, I think he's still
this week, but yeah, I mean, she's got Devontae Freeman back. Alshon Jeffrey looks like he's going to be a stud again. He randomly has John Brown, who's good. I mean, look at his bench. he's got nothing but points left and right. The Mitch Trubisky thing on his bench seems like a bit of a homer pick. And I honestly, Los, you're one of the few people that listen to this podcast. Don't just roster Mitch Trubisky because he's your boy and he plays for the Bears and he threw for 6 touchdowns in that one game. It is a fluke. I said last week that Mitch Trubisky is a bad quarterback and then he threw 6 touchdowns. I stand by what I said. Mitch Trubisky is a bad quarterback, and I will bet you $100 that he does not finish as a top 15 quarterback this year.
Ooh.
He's not good. He isn't good. He has bad matchups coming up. There's no reason he should be on your roster. Don't be that guy.
Speaking of bad matchups, Jason is playing Zach this week. He's going to go to 0-5. Then he's playing Ed next week. He's going to go to 0-6.
Oh, side note, if Los wasn't good enough, he's got TJ Yeldon. So as long as, he continues to be the Fournette backup, Los is unbeatable. Like, if Fournette keeps missing time with these injuries and TJ Yeldon keeps being the starter, Los is going to absolutely steamroll everybody.
Yeah, I agree.
Los already won the championship in week 5.
I agree. Zach's going to beat Jason this week, and there you have it. We're both going to go 5-0.
Put it on the board.
I think we both picked Travis. Then you picked Luke. Then I picked you. Then we both picked Steve. We both picked Ed, and we both picked Zach. So we're really good at picking the same shit.
You're going to get the L picking me.
Well, to be seen. All right. Well, let's finish this thing off here. Family Circle. What do you got this week?
All right. So for my family circle. So I went on a field trip with Ryan today, right?
Oh, where'd you guys go?
We went to the Grignon.
Good thing
I don't know how to
memorized the spelling of that one.
It's Grignon. I don't understand. I think there might have actually been another G in there somewhere.
Oh, great.
Mansion here in Appleton.
Mansion.
And there was all kinds of games and fun stuff, and they basically taught the kids how to do old-timey stuff, like the whole stick and wheel thing and grinding,
like making
corn.
banana bread.
Yes, washing clothes with like the whole like washboard, all the dumb shit that nobody cares about anymore.
Yeah, like when you went to the Raw West Museum when you were a kid.
Yeah, so naturally none of the kids were engaged. They were all bored as shit unless it was something very like fun. So here's the thing. How do you deal with when your, normal whatever child is being like forced out of line and bullied and basically like abused by these other kids that are either like these huge fat kids or these like clearly like sort of mental disorder, maybe oppositional defiance disorder kind of kids where they're just like
what kind of school do you send your kids to?
Predisposed to be dickheads to your kid, but you're a chaperone and you have to be relatively non-effective.
We'll tell him to not put up with that shit anymore and tell him to punch one of the kids and he'll get sent to the office. You'll get a phone call. You'll pretend to be mad at him. You'll go home. You'll pat him on the back and say, don't take that shit anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's terrible advice, though, especially considering...
Is that terrible advice? I mean, that's good life advice, though.
And by, like, 17 pounds already in second grade. Like, It's a big boy, and he is... I'm not going to, like, talk about the fact that... I'm not going to touch on ethnicity. But...
Oh.
But, he's... Let's just say he's predisposed to being a bully. And, not necessarily give a shit about the rules or, the repercussions.
All the more reason to punch his fucking lights out because then everyone will be like, well, you beat up the fucking bully. Right?
I'm not touching that necessarily, but, it's
I got my faith in that kid, by the way.
Hey, Ryan's a beast, and he's smart, and he's strong, and he's everything you want in a kid, but it's tough sitting there as a chaperone and watching him get bullied or cut in front of in line and knowing, like, there's no way this kid could take him. Like, Ryan could never take this kid down. He's outweighed. He's outstrengthed. It's one of those things where, yeah, Ryan could stand up for himself and he could throw a punch or something, but that's not necessarily going to do shit for him.
Yes, that reminds me of the time.
Just ran for a huge touchdown.
That reminds me of the time I got in a fight with Brett Kaler when we were going to Holy Cross in the recess yard. I don't remember what I was saying, but I was cocking off to him and calling him, a fat piece of shit or whatever.
Both said Brett Kaler's huge.
Yeah, he is huge. But I was cocking off to him. I don't remember what I said or how it happened, but eventually shoving ensued, and he shoved me. I hit a patch of ice. This is like January. I slip and fall, and he does what every humiliating fat person does. He sat on me. He literally just sat on me. And there I am, kicking and screaming on the ground, get the fuck off me, whatever. And Brett's like, oh, yeah, what are you going to do? I'm fucking sitting on you. I'm like, you fat piece of shit. And he's like, yeah, well, you ain't going anywhere, are you?
So I brought Nicole in for this one, and she's sitting here laughing. She's like, yeah, he sat on people. That's what he did.
So, yeah. I guess my word of advice would be tell him to punch him and run so he doesn't get sat on.
I will reference that.
And tell him not to do it when it's icy. That's the other thing.
Fair enough. That's freaking hilarious. I love it. I think we did it. We're
almost there. I went on a trip this weekend. We went to Chicago and we went to Legoland. What's going on?
You went to I saw pictures on Facebook. Talk to me about this.
Hey, tell her she can't be talking in the background.
I know, right? I'm sitting here trying to rubberneck and make her feel good while I'm fantasy analyzing, and she just.
Fantasy analyze this.
Nicole, you cannot talk. They can hear you.
She understands.
Okay. So.
Oh, girl, did you just fart? God damn, that's nasty. I was honored everything. I just farted on my phone. That's gross.
You guys are hijacking this podcast right now.
I'm sorry. It's a family circle jerk. We're allowed.
Of course.
I didn't bring her in until after we were done with the analysis.
You guys are supposed to be done. Just forget that.
It's true. I did promise her an hour. We're at 1:18.
Well, that's your fault because you went 20 minutes on this tangent.
I know. We had a lot to tape. Side note, I missed a point that I wanted to get to in the open. And if we're already going to be at an hour 20, I'm going to get back to it.
Okay.
Here's my question. Week 5 to week 16, who do you have, Goff or Mahomes?
I'd have to look at the matchups. We're way too far into this podcast to even think about that right now. No,
you have to blindly pick on faith. Matchups be damned. Right now.
Mahomes. Kansas City's, no, but I mean, I'm going to take Goff because they got a better defense. I don't know why that means anything, but I
actually agree. And I thought that was interesting, and that's why I thought it was worth talking about it, because obviously they're in a far different rank right now, but without even looking at the matchups at all, which I didn't before I asked this question. I also take Goff, and I think that's interesting.
I mean, it's something, right?
Yeah.
I was not prepared for that one. I did no analysis. I think Mahomes is awesome, but I also think Goff is in a really good situation.
Right. It's neat, right?
Yeah. All right. No more analysis. I'm done analyzing things. We need to quit. I have one last thing. You know what? I'm not going to talk about Legoland. It doesn't pay for me to blabber on anymore. I have one last thing. I'm putting this out there for everybody to know. By the way, Greek yogurt sucks. I don't care what anyone says. Greek yogurt sucks. It smells like toenails. It tastes like feet. And Nicole insisted on going to Costco and buying this like 400 pack of Greek yogurts. And she had the balls tonight. She's telling me, you start, because I like yogurt. And I always tell her to get me flavored yogurts. And she's like, I got freaking 2 refrigerators full of Greek yogurt. You can eat that. And I'm like, no, Greek yogurt sucks. And she goes, why don't you get off your high horse and do something good for your body? And I was just like, you're taking a stand on Greek yogurt? This is where you're taking the stand? Right here? I can eat jelly beans, but you're taking a stand on Greek yogurt versus regular yogurt?
Pope, I have 2 thoughts on this.
What?
One, Greek yogurt is actually kind of gross. I'm with you there. But 2, you are getting a little big, all right? Like #analysis.
Oh.
But you do have to start making some choices, bud, for your future health. But I'm saying this because I love you. You know, you got to stop eating all them burgers with the Keppels at lunch and or dinner, and all those jelly beans, and start, you know, becoming less like the guys on the last podcast on the left, and more like that freak athlete I used to play against when we played football.
Freak athlete. I was average at best. You were just below average.
You had legit talent. You had intangibles.
Oh,
all right.
Yes.
You need to get back to that. You need to start hitting it hard, bud. Back when we used to hit the gym together.
That's right. I'm gonna have to start doing that Heisman pose together again.
Let's go. Let's get it back. All
Well,
right?
speaking of getting it back,
Don't get lazy. You're letting your tired ass sit around after you're done wiring up a house because you sweat your bag off, and then you eat all the wrong shit, and then you go to bed. Like, come on, let's get it back. Let's get in shape. Let's get you in the National
all
Guard.
right. On that note, Nicole just brought Evan back from a late night drive since he's been teething and he hasn't been sleeping for more than 7 minutes at a crack for like the last week now. And on that note, I am going to go and get yelled at, and I'm going to eat some jelly beans just for the hell of it. Thanks, guys. It's been wonderful. We are at the hour 19-minute mark, and once I put in all the drops you're going to make me do, it's going to be like 2 hours long. So,
you owe me 30 sit-ups before you go to bed.
We'll see about that. This is the Gentleman Fantasy Podcast signing off. Me, Kyle, and my buddy Robert. I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend.
Peace!